When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. One of the marathoners that I coach is a professor. Before working with me, he ran a very fast first marathon, but his second one was significantly slower, and then he got injured. Now he's training with me and he's healthy and doing well, but his confidence in his ability is still shaken. So to ease his uncertainty, he wants to test his training with a hard tune-up race. And after all, that's what a professor would do with students, give them a test to evaluate their progress. But where athletics differs from education is that testing fitness comes at a cost. But sometimes the payoff is well worth the price. How can you make sure that the race that you schedule before your goal race is really a good idea? Let's find out. Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and my mission is to help you improve your running, your mindset, and your life with science-backed training and plant-based nutrition. Today's episode is all about tune-up races. You'll learn when to add a tune-up race for maximum benefit and minimum risk, how to run your tune-up race to best prepare you for your goal race, and alternative ways to use tune-ups in your schedule. Before I get into the details, I want to take a moment to highlight my PR team. The PR team is a small group of runners just like you who are working with me and each other to stay consistent, stay accountable, and work towards becoming better runners every day. Not to mention, it's really fun. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the team later on in the episode, but if you are ready to learn more right now, head to theplantedrunner.com/group. And of course, don't forget to stay tuned all the way to the end of the episode for another Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. There are several strategies for scheduling and executing tune-up races, and when done right, they can enhance your fitness and boost your confidence for the big day. But if they're not done right, they can add extra risk and unnecessary stress to your schedule. You might not recover in time to do your best for the race that you do really care about. So what is a tune-up race? It's any race that happens in the weeks or months before your main goal race. It is a planned part of your buildup, and it is in service of your more important race. It's usually a shorter distance than your goal race, but it doesn't always have to be. Now, if you just love to race and every race you run is your goal race, then I would not say you're running tune-up races at all. I suppose you're not really running goal races at all either if everything is your top priority, but that's okay. Do what brings you joy. When we talk about a tune-up race, it's one that we are running as part of our training for the more important race. How we choose to run those tune-ups will depend on what we need to know or work on during our training. We might deliberately run it slower than we're capable of. We might choose to run it all out. Or we might choose to run some kind of combination of that to address a specific concern or weakness. I'll get into the details for each strategy in just a minute, but the two main reasons you want to run a tune-up race is for race practice and as a fitness check. If you've heard the phrase, nothing new on race day, this does not apply to tune-up races. A tune-up is the perfect time to test out new gear, fuel, drinks, and your entire race morning routine so that you'll know that it works in a race environment. Even more important, you'll learn what doesn't work for you, so you have time to ditch the duds without ruining your real race. It's far better to work out the kinks and the misfires on a race that you don't really care about. So if your tune-up is a disaster, you can learn from it and adjust your strategy. Take fueling, for example. Even if you've been practicing with your fuel in training, it can be a completely different experience to your tummy when you're running hard. You might find that your favorite gel tastes terrible, or you can't chew your gummies when you're breathing hard. A gear test is another thing you can learn from a tune-up. That cute new sports bra or those new compression socks might literally rub you the wrong way, and that's far better to learn in a shorter race. To get the most out of the tune-up race, you want to treat it as a dress rehearsal for the big day as much as possible. That means getting up at the same time of day, eating the same breakfast, doing the same shakeout run, visualizing the course, and all the other details that you will go through. By practicing everything to the tiniest detail, you can be calmer and more relaxed on the big day because you've done this before. Besides race practice, a tune-up can tell you a lot about your fitness. If you can easily cruise through a half marathon a month before your marathon, that tells you you are probably in good shape to run around that pace twice as long. But if you hop on the struggle bus at mile 4, that probably tells you that your goal pace is a bit too aggressive. If you're using a 5K to prepare for a 10K goal race and you run it at 10K pace, the effort should feel comfortably hard. If there's no way that you could run twice as long at that pace, or if it felt way too easy, it's time to consider adjusting your goal. There are 2 main ways to run a tune-up race, and then there is a third hybrid strategy. I'll explain them all in just a few minutes. But first, I want to tell you about a unique opportunity for you to get stronger, faster, and stay motivated to hit your running and nutrition goals this year. And that is to join the PR team. Each member of the team gets a custom training plan made by me for you based on your unique fitness goals and lifestyle. Everything you need to achieve your running dreams is included, such as strength training, recovery, and even cross-training if you want it. I include weekly mental strength training as well as training tips and nutrition guides. But here's where it gets really cool. The group has its own page in the app where we share workouts, ask training questions, and get feedback from me and the other teammates. And each week, I create an exclusive private podcast just for the team based on the questions I get and what I see in their training each week. And I usually end up sharing behind the scenes and exclusive sneak peeks with the team that I don't share anywhere else. So instead of joining a Facebook group or sitting through another Zoom call, you get to listen to tailored advice on the run, and you don't have to do this all alone. When you're ready to take your running to the next level and join an amazing team of runners, head to theplantedrunner.com/group and join us today. It's more affordable than you think, and I can't wait to have you. The Planted Runner is sponsored by Liquid IV. You've been sweating through the summer and finally cooler temperatures of the fall are on their way. But that doesn't mean that you should lose focus on proper hydration for running and for life. Now is the perfect time to stock up on Liquid IV's new Energy Multiplier, sugar-free hydrating energy. It's scientifically formulated to support physical energy, hydration, focused mood, and even social stamina. You already know that it hydrates better than water for your runs and your workouts, but it's also perfect for when you feel run down after a long night out, and it's what I have in my carry-on anytime I'm hopping on a flight. I especially love the blackberry lemonade flavor. Don't just power through your day, ditch the glitch with zero sugar and zero crash from Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code PLANTED at checkout. And that's 20% off your first order with code PLANTED at liquidiv.com. Welcome back to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. There are 3 general ways to execute a tune-up race. The first plan is to race the tune-up as hard as you can. The benefit of the all-out strategy is that it gives you a good assessment of how you deal with racing at your highest level. Racing hard is hard as it forces you to stay under control at the beginning, turn up the heat in the middle, and then race your heart out when your body is fighting for you to stop. If you can knock out the best half marathon of your life, you've got a good shot of a great marathon in the weeks to come. Even better, you might walk away with a new personal record and a new confidence boost. There are lots of online calculators that can convert your race distances to help you predict what you can race at other common distances, but be sure to take them all with a grain of salt, as they're not accurate for every race or every runner. The downsides of an all-out tune-up is that there is a little more risk of injury, it's harder to recover from, and it's less specific to the longer race. Let me take those one by one. The more time you spend in your red zone or the all-out effort zone, the higher your risk of injury. Too much speed can come at a price, and for many runners, that potential cost is too high before an important race. The other cost of all out is that you'll need more time to recover than you would need had you run it slower. That can mean a few extra days off or of easy running, potentially sacrificing a more race-specific workout. And speaking of specifics, if you're racing an all-out half to prep for a marathon, for example, you are not practicing marathon pace. Yes, running at all paces at times is great for all distances, but the closer you get to race day, the more like your goal race you want your workouts to become. To avoid the downsides of all-out racing, a second strategy for your tune-up is to run it at your goal race pace. So if you're tuning up with a 5K, for a 10K race, for example, you'll run the 5K at your slower 10K pace. This will help you practice pacing and control at the actual pace you plan to be running, which provides excellent feedback for you and for your coach. Not only is running race pace more specific, it's easier. That allows you to recover more quickly and jump right back into training. The only downside to this plan is that you are not practicing the all-out feeling that you should feel at the end of an all-out race. You can get close in training, of course, but if you have struggled with not racing your hardest in the past, you might want to try it in a race that you don't care about. Go into the race giving yourself permission to blow up, and whatever happens, happens. You might end up surprising yourself. And actually, there is another downside of racing your tune-up at a slower pace. It doesn't feel like racing. Can your ego handle not racing your best? Are you going to feel bad when looking at your results knowing you were holding back the whole time? Many runners really struggle with this, especially when they're always wanting to do their best. It takes control and confidence in your training to purposely under-race. But if you can do it, it might just be the best thing for your training. Racing all out or racing goal pace are not the only ways to tune up. There are several other strategies. Some runners love to throw a 5K or a 10K race in the middle of a long run during marathon training. It breaks up the boredom, you get to run with people, and you also get the support of aid stations. You can choose to race it hard or not, and depending on where it is in your training cycle, you might not need any more recovery time than you normally would from a harder long run. An advanced technique is to use a race as part of a longer speed workout. You could race a 5K, run a couple of easy miles, and then run another hard 5K before cooling down. Again, you get the support and energy of the race environment during what might normally be a grueling workout on your own. And finally, one of my favorite ways to execute a tune-up is with a specific plan to work on something that you've struggled with in the past. Let's say you've always gone out too fast in every race you've ever run, causing you to crash and burn by the end. Don't feel bad. Most people do this until they learn not to. Deliberately practice not doing this in your tune-up by creating a strict pacing guide for the first 25% of the race. If your tune-up is a half marathon, tell yourself that you must run deliberately slow, perhaps 30 seconds slower than your marathon pace for the first 3 miles. After that, the race is yours to run as you wish. Or perhaps your issue is the opposite. You're good at pacing, but you struggle with a solid final kick. Your tune-up strategy is to run very easy the first 75% of the race, and then crank it down as fast as you can for the final 25%. So ask yourself, what went wrong at your last race and where can you improve? That will tell you how to run your tune-up. Okay, I've told you why and how to run a tune-up. The next big question is when. Race too early in your cycle and it won't tell you much about your fitness months from now. Race too close to your goal race and you risk leaving all your energy in a race that you don't even care about. Let's go over the most common race distances and when a tune-up is a good idea. For the 5K, unless you are lucky enough to have a mile race scheduled, your best bet is another 5K. Plan to race one a few seconds per mile slower than your real goal pace, about 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time. Another great strategy is practicing a cut down, running each mile a few seconds faster and finishing strong. 10K racers can put a 5K or a 5-miler on the calendar 2 to 4 weeks ahead of your goal race. Whatever pacing strategy you choose, it should feel at least comfortably hard, yet not totally exhausting. For the half marathon, you'll want to start backing up those tune-ups to allow more recovery time. I recommend planning a 10K tune-up about 3 to 4 weeks out. If you want to add a second earlier tune-up to give you a baseline fitness check, that could be planned in the 6 to 8 weeks before your goal race. And finally, for the marathon, I like to schedule a half marathon tune-up 4 to 6 weeks out before your race. It is possible to race a half 3 weeks away from the marathon, but that is usually best reserved for your longest and hardest long run. If that's also the best time for your tune-up, it's better to keep that one at no faster than marathon pace to minimize injury and recovery risks. Feel free to add on an extra long cooldown so your total mileage for the day ends up where you would need your long run to be. You could also sprinkle in some 5Ks or 10Ks earlier in both a marathon and half marathon build, but be careful with this strategy. You don't want those other races to distract you from your real goal or take you away from workouts that are better suited to your goal race. Tune-up races can be a fun and useful part of preparing to race your best on your big race day. There are several different strategies for executing them, so be sure you know what you're trying to work on and what you're hoping to improve upon before the gun goes off. And remember, a successful tune-up race doesn't guarantee a successful race, just like a disastrous one doesn't mean you'll fall apart on your goal race. But practice does make progress as long as you learn from it. And now it's time for the Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. Today's topic is run in bad weather. There is nothing that makes you feel tough and strong than going for a run in bad weather. The layer of challenge and discomfort from the cold, wet, snowy, hot, rainy runs can teach you that yes, you can handle anything. Most people, even many runners, actively avoid training outside in bad weather because it's not fun. But when you purposely add this mental challenge, you come back from the run just a little tougher and more confident in yourself. Of course, I'm not advocating running in dangerous conditions, and you need to dress appropriately, but changing your mindset about bad weather can change everything.
Thank you for listening to The Planted Runner, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Don't forget that you can enter to win a free custom training plan for your next race and get featured on the show. Just write an Apple Podcast review and enter at theplantedrunner.com/PRLab. Of course, reviews are the #1 way to boost this show's reach, and it's a great way to tell me what you'd like to hear next because I read every single one. Have a great run today.